special session providing resources for legal representation. Over $75 million we carried forward from last year for additional support. But we must be vigilant and resolved that as we focus on Epstein, we focus on the next day or distraction, that communities like Bell and Downey are being torn apart because of his cruelty and because of his incompetence. And so that's the purpose of this opportunity to share and to engage and, of course, ask any questions here today.
Governor Newsom, your personal and your governor's press office social media accounts have taken a much more aggressive tone over the last couple of weeks. Recently, the press office called Stephen Miller a cuck on Twitter. How do you differentiate yourself from Trump if you're using state and personal social media accounts to name, call, and attack him?
Well, it's a response to Stephen Chung in the White House and his use of that word. I don't think they understand any other kind of language, so I have no apologies for standing tall and firm and pushing back against their cruelty. And if it requires more clear language, requires a recognition that things have radically changed with Trump presidency, then I will assert myself as I feel fit. And I'll do so with clarity and conviction. The difference between Donald Trump and the Trump administration and the state of California and the work that's being done by many elected officials here is we don't just exercise our formal authority, we also exercise our moral authority.
Governor Newsom, last week we saw that the Core Civic California City former California prison has now been renamed the California City Immigration Processing Center. What is the state of California planning as far as health and safety oversight or other constitutional oversight of that facility when, if and when it reopens as an ICE processing detention center?
California, and we had advanced in the first Trump administration, California updated and advanced a lot of its oversight rules and regulations as it relates to the authority of the state that's vested in us as it relates to the specific issue of health and safety. We also had to recognize that we had to reconcile the federal jurisdiction, and there were certain limits as it relates to our direct involvement and direct engagement. The good news is, having gone through a version of what we're experiencing here today, but not at the scale of the cruelty that we're experiencing, that we had updated a lot of those rules and regulations, including resourcing members of the Department of Justice, specifically the AG's office, to provide that kind of oversight. I specifically had on this topic conversations with immigrant rights leaders about what their expectations were in terms of that support, how we can coordinate and collaborate and share information, and that is our intent as it relates to that specific facility.
Governor, I talked to Sabrina Medina on the Park today about the situation going on by the federal authorities. She said they're afraid to go out to their house, they're afraid to go out, they're afraid to go out to shop. She wants local leaders to have police not be that involved in ICE operations around the city. What do you have to say?
They're not. I mean, under the tenets, police officers are not to aid and abet.
They're escorting them.
As it relates to the issues of these raids, it's very clear as it relates to the policies, local policies, which distinguish themselves from state policies, that is not the role of local law enforcement. The role of local law enforcement is to create a framework of trust. As it relates to safety of individuals, be it their state employees, local employees, or federal employees, they have a responsibility as it relates to public safety. So I'm deeply mindful of that. There's a balancing act there, but when it comes to the safety of officers, I wish them no harm. Most of these folks have been conscripted. I mean, the National Guard men and women are heroes. A lot of you were out there taking selfies with them. The biggest issue they had in a place like Santa Monica, so many jugs of water came, so much food came. We were really proud of them. They're the same people. They're just under now a jurisdiction of someone who's unhinged by the name of Donald Trump. And so I want people to recognize that and respect that. So it's about public safety in that respect, broadly defined. That safety includes federal employees as well.
Governor, do you anticipate if there's a problem with, do you anticipate a possibility of a further drawdown of the National Guard and/or shipping Marines back to their base, given the rules that Washington wants as far as the ability of ICE officers to arrest anybody who attacks federal officers? The White House on the 11th said literally anyone who throws rocks, whatever, assaults federal officers, they're freeing up ICE to actually detain and arrest those people for assault. If those rules of engagement hold, are you anticipating a further drawdown because there's no need for soldiers or anyone else to provide any kind of a buffer around ICE officers doing those type of operations?
Again, the utilization rate, mission tasking of roughly 5,000 military personnel is about 5%. They claim it's 26.6%, and that's because they're in an operational readiness. But they're in Los Alamitos, an hour and a half away. They're sitting there behind the walls looking for things to do. 5%. So as it relates to the drawdown, they're a solution right now in search of a problem. But more importantly, I think this is the issue that I think
want to highlight. This is a preview of things to come. If you think this is about California, you are fooling yourself. These are operations you're going to see all across the United States of America.
They've tested the boundaries of the law. They've tested the boundaries of public perception and what the public will accept. And they're going to export, including potentially members of our own state National Guard, to other states. So when they draw down and demobilize, the question is, for what? To go where? Under whose command, whose control? And to me, that's a more interesting question, is what ultimately becomes of these members of our National Guard. But look, you recall, we had close to 1,600 officers at certain points at the peak of what was going on in a couple square blocks or a couple blocks in Los Angeles. CHP officers and LAPD were protecting the National Guard. To your question, not the other way around. That's how absurd this whole thing has become. You would think there'd be some congressional oversight, but those guys have disappeared. Speaker Johnson, in name only. We can get to that. The question is how long he'll be Speaker. They're, of course, trying to change the game on that. That's a separate conversation.
Well, Governor, about that.
Okay, California Governor Gavin Newsom there speaking earlier today in Downey, California, after the Pentagon pulled back about 2,000 National Guard troops that were deployed and used in order to protect federal property and to protect federal personnel during those anti-ICE demonstrations about a month ago here. Let's step off this for now. We do want to stay in California. One more headline for you. This regarding the California high-speed rail project here. Live picture back in Los Angeles. We're hearing in a new letter from Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, he is pulling the plug on $4 billion for California high-speed rail. He calls it the train to nowhere. He calls it a boondoggle. So Duffy announcing that the Federal Railroad Administration terminated approximately $4 billion in unspent federal funding for California's high-speed rail boondoggle. After 16 years and roughly $15 billion spent, not one high-speed track has been laid by the California High-Speed Rail Authority. The $135 billion projected total cost of the project could buy every San Francisco and Los Angeles resident nearly 200 round-trip flights between the cities here. So Duffy, in a statement on X, saying this: Governor Newsom and California's high-speed rail boondoggle are the definition of government incompetence and possibly corruption. The price tag has gone from $33 billion to $135 billion, with no completion date in sight. He says we could give every single LA and San Francisco resident almost 200 free flights for that much. That's why today we're pulling the plug on federal funding for this train to nowhere. I won't help Gavin Newsom waste your money. Also, we have Newsom in response won't be taking advice from the guy who can't keep planes in the sky. Wow, just seeing that for the first time. Newsom going there. Now Trump posting on Truth Social in the last hour saying to the law-abiding, tax-paying, hard-working citizens of the United States of America, I'm thrilled to announce that I've officially freed you from funding California's disastrously overpriced high-speed train to nowhere. This boondoggle, led by the incompetent governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has cost taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars, and we have received nothing in return except cost overruns. The railroad we were promised still does not exist and never will. This project was severely overpriced, overregulated, and never delivered. Thanks to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, not a single penny in federal dollars will go towards this Newsom scam ever again. This was an ill-conceived and unnecessary project and a total waste of taxpayer money, but no more. So, wanted to get that in. That's the headline. Sean Duffy pulling the plug on $4 billion in federal funding for California's high-speed rail project. This is unspent federal funding that's being clawed back. Remember, this project's been in place for 16 years. Already $15 billion has been spent, and according to Duffy, not one high-speed track has been laid. Okay, in the meantime here, looks like got to stay in California. Looks like we have a police pursuit going on right now. My producers are going to get me some information on where this is, what the nature of this chase is. Take a look at this. All right, we got a live picture there. It looks like some type of silver sedan going through, oh wow, going right through that toll booth there, running into some traffic. So this is in the Bay Area. And now it's so interesting, if you're just joining us, most of our police chases that we bring you, I would say 99% of them, they are concentrated in Southern California. This one now, though, this is in Northern California. So Skyfox overhead, thank you to our partners there at Fox 2 in the Bay Area for bringing us this, and we just lost it. We do apologize, going to black there. So if we do get that shot back, and if we do get any more information on what exactly is transpiring there, we'll make sure to bring it to you. Let's take this opportunity to go to break. We'll see you in just a moment. And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. So we did get our shot back there in Northern California. Very sparse details right now about this silver sedan there. Not even entirely sure, because we can't see it, if police are in pursuit of this, though this driver is driving quite recklessly, quite erratically there. You see what? The front right bumper is kind of hanging off there.
A little after 5:30 here on this Wednesday night on the West Coast there in the Bay Area. Looks like this driver is running into some rush hour traffic that could be quite the impediment to him.
Not entirely sure, like I said, whether or not police are pursuing this yet. They may be in tracking mode. But the very short time that we have been over this for you, that driver has been driving quite erratically here, and we hope Skyfox doesn't lose them. Looks like they're going under this tunnel here. So bear with us. Police chases, each one is different. Different circumstances, different maneuvers, different reasons why a driver would evade law enforcement. So it looks like they're trying to find the driver yet again. Oh, there it is. Okay. And looks like the passenger side window is completely down. So we don't always get that. We don't always get kind of a view inside the window down there. My colleague Austin Westfall joining me here in the Live Now newsroom.
Andrew, I gotta say, tracking mode appears to be what the police are doing here. And again, we watch these chases, usually in Southern California. What I will say is when they go into tracking mode, sometimes it's because a driver is traversing the roads too erratically, so they back off of a suspect in that scenario in order to perhaps calm the driving down. I have not, at least when they zoomed out this past 30 seconds. Didn't look like there were any police that were in the immediate vicinity. Unfortunately, we don't have a want. We don't have a why as to why this person is being chased. We don't have, and again, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong here. You might have a better vantage point from where you sit. Does it look like there are two people in the vehicle to you? I can't tell if that person is the driver or if that person that we're seeing is sitting in the passenger seat.
Yeah, no, I could tell why you asked that question. I think that's the driver wearing this kind of bright neon type shirt here. That's the Bay Bridge, by the way. I'm not that familiar with the Bay Area. I've been there a couple of times. The Bay Bridge, it's one of the busiest overpasses in the Bay Area right now. You can see the traffic there. It's about 5:40 on this Wednesday afternoon, and this driver is, frankly, just in a lot of traffic. This is a slow speed pursuit, and we're on the phone with our colleagues there at Fox 2 in the Bay Area. Our producers are going to get us some more information on how this started, where it started, when this started, and whether or not there are actually police, behind pursuing this. But you can see there, cutting really close in and out of these lanes, Austin, on the Bay Bridge, of all places.
I'm hearing from our producers. This is, and we just got off the phone with KTVU. They're the ones providing the chopper. That's a chase right now. We do not have a reason why this person is being chased. So for now, we're going to remain calling this simply a suspect. We don't know why this person's being chased. We also don't know why the car appears to be banged up. We don't know if the car was banged up throughout the course of this pursuit. We don't know if the car was already banged up. KTVU also tells us, as you've alluded to, that this is the Bay Bridge. And that's where things stand for now. CHP is the one that has the chopper above this pursuit. Of course, we're watching this from a news chopper. And then it's the CHP that's monitoring this thing from the skies. So just because we don't see the the black and white vehicles behind the suspect at this point, that doesn't mean that police aren't tracking them. Our understanding is that
The California Highway Patrol, Andrew, is watching this thing from the sky.
Yeah, and we're still watching the driver, try to maneuver in and out of this traffic.
But you got to just spare a thought for these drivers, especially in rush hour. They don't know
that a police pursuit is literally right next to them. And so that's why viewer discretion is advised. It's dangerous. And a lot of these drivers are unsuspecting, vulnerable to some of these police pursuits. Because as you know, Austin, they can turn on a dime so quickly, and they can turn so dangerous and so violent. But
It
still
sounds-
over the Bay Bridge here, looking like traffic is a little heavier in the center of the bridge. What are you seeing, Austin?
It could work to the advantage in some scenarios. A little bit of traffic, of course, means there's more room for innocent bystanders to be involved in
any sort of pursuit or any sort of danger that comes from a pursuit. But one silver lining to heavier traffic is sometimes they are forced to drive slower. In this case, we see a five-lane highway, and right now being blocked on all 5 lanes, and that's forcing this to be a slower pursuit. Now, again, from what we can tell, it appears that the CHP are in tracking mode, so there's not going to be police immediately behind this suspect right now. Nonetheless, though, if this person eventually does decide to get out of the car, to flee on foot, and I don't know, it looked like we might have just seen a little bit of the police chopper. So yeah, that is the Bay Bridge. Also, 542 in California right now. As you've alluded to, Andrew, pretty much peak traffic right now. People heading home. Go ahead.
That car is banged up, Austin. I mean, look at it. We're getting a different new view of it, vantage point of it on the other side. It even looks like, I don't want to speculate, it even looks like maybe see there, the steering wheel, and maybe that was deployed during, a collision with another car. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh yeah, it looks like the driver's side of this vehicle took a hit. That's for sure.
Right.
I mean, we did not see anything on air. Our camera did not catch any sort of wreck. We didn't see any sort of collision. But yeah, I mean, if you told me that car had been T-boned on the driver's side, I'd believe you. That's what it looks like. Some significant damage.
Airbag, that was the term I was looking for. Yeah. Airbag seems to have gone off. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's what I'm seeing on the driver's side at least.
When airbags get deployed, typically if a car gets hit on the side, that means the side airbags are going to get deployed. Airbags deploy based on where the hit is triggered. And if this thing was hit on the side, it would make sense, Andrew, that the side airbags would be deployed. It's tough for me to say. And again, it looks like that person could even be messing with it right now. Looks like we might be talking about airbags being deployed in the front seat and the back seat, and possibly messing with it right now. It's possible that thing, and again, I'll reiterate this, we do not know how this car ended up in the shape that it's in. We've only been watching this pursuit now for, 15, 20 minutes or so. That's as long as we've had eyes on it, and it was already in the shape when we got eyes on this pursuit. It's very possible that this thing did get in some sort of collision throughout the course of the pursuit, and this driver is driving with airbags actively deployed next to them, Andrew.
Yeah, and it's really, really boxed in, though. I mean, with all this traffic, the Bay Bridge is just a huge expanse. For those who are familiar with the Bay Area, you can be on it for quite some time during rush hour, and that's what it appears to be right now. So we'll just have to wait and see. You never know. You can really get into the mind or the psyche of these drivers who think they can outlast or outrun law enforcement. And we're getting more kind of a full frontal view, at least, of the driver, kind of still wearing neon orange or red, appears to wearing some type of, traffic safety vest.
And
possibly.
That really does confirm to me, I was kind of speculating earlier, did it look like there was somebody in the passenger seat? But that does give you a pretty clear look that person wearing some bright colored clothes. It almost looks like somebody that's getting ready to go out and work on the road.
Yeah.
But this person wearing a bright orange top in the driver's seat, and it does, Andrew, look like the airbag has been deployed. I will mention this, we are reaching out to KTVU. They, again, are the station that's on top of this pursuit. Our understanding is that CHP is also above this pursuit as well. That's the California Highway Patrol. We have not seen any cop cars behind this suspect. That could be indicative to the fact that it is rush hour. There's a lot of innocent people driving on the road right now, and the last thing they want is for this pursuit to pick up speed and get any more dangerous on the ground than it needs to be, Andrew.
And you can kind of tell the driver's probably trying to figure it out too, weaving in and out, trying to determine his next move. And so it looks like he will possibly be turning right there on the off-ramp off the Bay Bridge. We'll just have to see. And that
like
is
that
exactly
sign said,
what he's
aiming
doing,
for
yeah.
Fremont. And that's a drone. You see that? I just saw it's off the camera. It's off the screen now, but I just saw a drone flying above. I wonder if that's a police tactic or if that's a looky-loo tactic. Certainly drones flying above a car chase that the CHP is also flying above, Andrew. That is not something that law enforcement recommend. And this is where things get tricky. with these pursuits. This is something that we run into when pursuits go through downtown LA all the time. When you start to get into this concrete jungle type of stuff, that's when it gets tricky to track the cars. Sometimes that's when, sadly, news choppers lose the cars. And that's when we get into that frustrating scenario where we follow a police pursuit for 15, 20 minutes, and then we don't get a resolution to it, because as could be the case right now, Andrew, it's pretty tricky to track these cars when they head into downtown areas.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're just going to be getting quite the scenic aerial view of downtown San Francisco at the moment.
So Skyfox will do their best, to your point, to try to find that silver sedan, but it is really hard and it is tough. So bear with us here. We're still in touch with Fox 2 there in the Bay Area, KTVU. We're on the phone with them just to let them know this is going on. They're letting us know more details. But it looks like for now, at least temporarily, looks like they've lost that sedan there. So,
You know, it's very little information out there about the suspect to begin with. One thing we will say is,
Even though it can be tricky for the news choppers to keep track of these types of pursuits, Andrew, typically the news choppers have to fly much, much higher than the police choppers. So it's possible that even though the news chopper seems to have lost this pursuit, my money would be on the fact that the police chopper had an easier time following, and we'll just have to check in with KTVU later in the night possibly to get a resolution on this one.
All right, Officer Westfall with me here in the Live Now newsroom, helping us narrate and make sense. We tell you what we see. That's how we do it here on Live Now from Fox. But gotta step away from that. Like I said, if we get any more updates from our partners there in the Bay Area at Fox 2, we'll make sure to bring them to you here. But like I said, let's go to a quick commercial break. Still so much more to tell you when we come back.